Welcome to More Than Renovating, a renovate and real estate podcast. Our founder, Belinda Smith, talks to industry experts to provide you with the knowledge and information you need to make renovating for love and profit your reality. Belinda will also chat to some of her Renovation Mastery members, who are just everyday people doing extraordinary things, following their passions in the renovation and property space. So, let's jump straight into the episode. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, I'm Belinda Smith and I'm from Renovate and Real Estate, as you know. Welcome to the More Than Renovating podcast. I have some wonderful special guests with me today. I've got Lisa Schapiro and Munro Donen. They're from Property Buyer East, the Eastern Division of Property Buyer, and I mean Eastern Sydney Division. Lisa and Munro are buyers agents. Munro is the director and principal of the Eastern Suburbs Division, and Lisa's a licensed buyers agent. You guys might have heard of a gentleman called Rich Harvey. This business has been around for 23 years. They've got more than 40 industry awards for excellence. They specialise in home, investment or commercial properties and have a great reputation. You've got quite the team there. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, Belinda.
So tell me a little bit about yourselves, how you got started in this industry. You probably have to answer this one at a time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Happy to give you a bit of a background. My name is Munro Donen, as you said. I've been in the industry for over 22 years, Belinda. I live in the eastern suburbs. I'm absolutely passionate about real estate. I've bought and sold real estate myself as well. And as I say, what better than to wake up every morning, a job that you love, and actually to go to work, which you love what you're doing. Helping people and create wealth through property is what I really enjoy doing. It's what I've done for myself, what I've done for friends, what I've done for colleagues. And I'd love to share some experiences with your clients. And if we can add value and help them do what we've done, then hopefully we've done our job.
Fantastic. I totally agree with you that waking up doing what you love every day, that's what life is all about. Lisa, yourself, how did you get started?
I've actually been in the events industry for 22 years. And I was a stay-at-home mum for 12. And we had bought and sold property before. And the second time around, we needed the help of a buyer's agent. 10 years ago, if you would have asked me, to use a buyer's agent, I would have looked at you and thought you were crazy. Yeah. However, this time around, we had a very difficult brief and we needed the help of a buyer's agent, contacted Munro. And we developed such a close rapport with your buyer's agent that when it actually came to purchasing the property, it was an anticlimax for me because it meant I wouldn't be in touch with Munro anymore. And I said to him, this is not happening. I love you so much. I'm coming to work for you. And that's the start of my career as a buyer's agent. And then I studied for a year and a half and I'm now qualified and been with Munro for a year and a half. So this is the man that changed my life.
I'm called the day husband, by the way, just for information.
and then there's the night husband, and they share expenses.
It's quite funny when I see you two together, very couple-like, yet you're not a couple. So that's just such a good working relationship, and it's so nice to see.
Well, as you say, there are different types of relationships.
I agree. And honestly, it's so nice when friends become work colleagues and you all understand each other and
we're like a little family. There are 4 of us in the office and we have a lovely little family environment. And we love coming to work every day just to see each other, which is fun.
Which is really good. Okay, so what services do you provide there in the Sydney East area?
Belinda, our business provides buyers agency, as we call it, buyer advocacy services to homeowners and investors across the eastern seaboard. Our office is based in Bondi. We focus mainly on the eastern suburbs, but as well as the inner west. We do have colleagues, obviously, through the Property Buyer Network and Rich Harvey. We've got offices in Sydney Metro, South Coast, Central Coast, Melbourne and Brisbane and the Gold Coast. So we do cover the eastern seaboard quite adequately.
And so what do clients come to you for? Like, describe your typical client and what it is that they're after.
Okay, I think the first thing really is, as Lisa always says, we match people to properties, and that's our job. We're a matchmaker, actually. Our clients would come to us with any brief, Belinda, literally from $1 million to $20 million, professional time poor individuals, really any type of client, first homeowner, sophisticated investors, people that just don't have the time to look on their own, or people that have busy lives, but we also have different levels of service. So even if a client does have the time to look on their own, but they're misguided by the guides on the property prices, which is quite an issue which a lot of people come to us with.
And frustrated. They're frustrated.
They get totally frustrated. So at the end of the day, our job is to guide our clients correctly, not follow the guides that are being provided online. We understand the market. We understand what a property trades for in a certain area. We have the research. We have the analysis. And one of the most difficult things, we just bought a property for a client in Paddington, and the experience was they'd missed out on many times, and they had a fairly decent budget. But what she felt the most difficult thing was every time she arrives at an auction and the agent guides her to a certain price and it goes a lot more than that, she said, we could have paid it, but if we would have known this beforehand. But they didn't really know how to analyze and evaluate the properties. And that's obviously, where we come in. So we offer a full service, or you go find the property, we'll help you negotiate it and tell you where you need to be.
I totally understand that lady's frustration. It is very, very difficult for people out and about there who aren't in the industry to keep abreast of what's happening on the daily and to really understand what the real estate agents are actually doing and saying. And they don't have the industry expertise that you guys have, because the average person sells a property once every blue moon. They buy and sell every now and then. And they're also caught up emotionally with wanting a perfect property for themselves. So I think it's a really good service that you offer. And I think that the data is super important, and gauging exactly what a property is likely to go for. And, you guys have the expertise in knowing how to do that. Lisa, I'm going to ask this directly to you. What is something that you didn't expect from becoming a buyer's agent?
Firstly, it's a 24/7 job. So if someone wants to get into property and they want a part-time job, this is not the industry for you. So it's 24/7. It's not a case of what I didn't expect. It's more a case of what I'm enjoying. Yeah. I enjoy the people aspect, and I feel that being a buyer's agent, we're on the what I call the white light side of property, where with our hearts we can genuinely say that we're buying for somebody within their best interests.
Yeah.
And reputations are kept in check. So I absolutely love the fact that we are there 100% having the client's back. We're not out there to make a buck. We're actually out there to change their lives and add value to their lives, enhancing their lifestyle.
Do you feel like you're fighting for the underdog just a little bit, particularly in that scenario where that lady was missing out on properties one after the other?
Absolutely. And I take that very personally. I am all about advocacy. And that's why we actually changed our titles from agents to advocates, because you wouldn't go into court and fight for someone without a lawyer at your side. And that's what we're all about, is we hold their hand and take them through that journey, start to finish, making sure that they've got somebody to rely on. And it's almost like being in a family where you can go to your parents and say, what do you think? And your parents are the expert, the buyer's advocates are the experts, and you can bounce the ideas off them and bounce the prices and the agents and, what they're doing. You've got someone to rely on.
And so are people really open with you, whereas they may not be open with the real estate agent selling the home? For example, if you talk about their budget?
Belinda, what's interesting is, just going back on what Lisa just said,
yes,
is I think what we do to a large degree is we actually coach our clients. We act as a counselor. If people ask me, what do? I'm counseling and coaching a client 80% of the time. 20% of that time we're negotiating on a property. So, being able to be there for them, coach them, and be there. I'll give you an example of a funny experience that I had with a client where I had a couple, and sometimes people are not on the same page, even though they think they're on the same page. How often do people run into properties? You've got 15 minutes, literally. You're running with your partner, you have a quick look, you both like it, you smile at each other, you say, okay, let's make an offer. But how often do people walk out of a property and actually say to each other, now what didn't work about that property? What didn't we like? Because in life, it's very, and I'm sure you can identify with it. If I ask you what you like, you're going to find it very hard to tell me. But if I say to you, Belinda, what don't you like? You're going to be very quick to be able to let me know. And if we're trained the way we're trained, if we understand what you don't like, it's a lot easier for us to understand what you do like from that point of view.
It identifies clearly the must-haves and the can-do withouts.
Yep.
Yeah, agree.
And sometimes that's a negotiation. We might start off on a brief where everybody thinks one thing, but there is what we call a reset after a period of time. If we're not getting there, then something has to change, something has to give. And that's where the reset comes in. And that's where we guide the client, to make that decision. So we may not get 10 boxes ticked, but 8 or 9. And that's pretty good going. It's all about location. Get the location right, everything else can be fixed.
The game with the real estate agent, and honestly, us as renovators who take properties to market looking really flash and fully styled, our game as renovators is to have emotionally charged buyers. Your game is to make sure that they're making really wise decisions, that they've thought through their decisions, they've looked at the positives, but they're not being swept away with all of the positives. They are actually identifying their must-haves and the things that they didn't like about the property.
We keep it real.
Yeah.
And we make sure that it's not only real, but realistic.
Yeah.
And it is our duty to our clients to keep them informed by due diligence. And that due diligence can be actual intel. It can be our relationships with agents. It can be research that we do. And we pride ourselves on our research because at the end of the day, whilst different strokes for different folks, some people are analysis paralysis and like lots of data. Some people are emotional buyers, and we have to dig into that to see what kind of buyer they are. But at the end of the day, once someone has bought a property, one of the first questions they actually ask is, did we get a good deal?
Yeah.
Did we do well? Did we buy well? And, we have to have the data to back us to do that. It's not just, oh, well, we think you should go for it and here's the price. It's researched.
And so do you try and get properties cheaper for people? Is that one of the goals? Like, do you try and get deals off market?
So what we try and do, Belinda, at the end of the day, it's about securing the property at the right price.
Yeah.
Obviously we're here to save our clients money wherever we can, but the eastern suburbs is, as you understand, a very competitive. Apparently it's been said hot. Yeah. Exactly. It's one of the most competitive and aggressive property markets in the world.
Yes.
And, being able to secure the property is the majority of that. But obviously we don't want to overpay. But, at the end of the day, we guide our clients where we see value on a property. If a client wants to pay more, obviously it's a premium property, a premium location, supply and demand. That's a decision that, we take together with our client. But it's about securing the property, yes, at the fair and best reasonable price, and as well under the best terms and conditions.
And in the current market, we have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, brilliant. And a lot of people are unaware about the best terms and conditions or the things that they're able to ask for. So many people, this is the beauty of having a buyer's agent, is your level of expertise is well beyond the average buyer.
Yeah, it's not only about price. There are a number of terms and conditions, without giving the game away, that we have from experience that we know, that could be used as a negotiating tool to be able to secure a property.
Or a way of protecting them when they're early in the buying phase, like a few conditions that allow them an out clause if they really need to get out while they settle on a few things, for example, finance.
I think that when people consider using a buyer's agent, one of the reasons, probably the most predominant reason that a person would consider using a buyer's agent is, we want access to off-market properties. Otherwise, we can do it ourselves. We've got real estate, we've got domain, we don't need a buyer's agent. But let me tell you, having been through the journey myself as a client, there is so much value, expertise, and intel that the buyer's agent was able to provide us. And what I loved specifically about Munro is he would walk into a property and there was no such thing as, hi, how you doing? It was, hi, how the grandkids? What's happened with this one? What's happened with that one? And it was so impressive that he actually really knew the agents personally.
Yep.
And being in the industry as long as he has, no wonder he does know them as well as he does.
And the respect you have, when you're treating the agent like a commodity at the end of the day, and people get very frustrated with agents, but what they need to understand is the agent's job is not working for the buyer. They're not a buyer's agent, they're a seller's agent.
Correct.
We're an advocate, they're an agent, they sell. The only thing we sell is our service. And understanding, and having those relationships with the agents having the respect. People get very angry with real estate agents when they lose out. Well, it's not going to help you if you lose one property from them and you're looking at another property and you've had a blow up with the agent. They're not going to be coming to you first when it comes to doing a deal.
Yes,
so, keeping that emotion intact, understanding not only as I always say, the most important thing is, as a buyer's agent, we understand the property process. We know what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and more importantly, how it needs to be done. If you don't get that all right and all in sync at the same time, you lose out.
Agree. And buyers can be very, very emotionally engaged in the process. It is a ride, particularly if they've fallen in love with a particular property and they can't see beyond that property.
Yeah.
What are some of the myths about buyer's agents?
Okay, well, the biggest elephant in the room is always that only rich people use buyer's agents. Well, that's not correct. 30% of property transactions in New South Wales now are actually transacted through, especially in the Sydney market, through buyer's agents. And it's the fastest growing sector of the real estate industry.
Agree.
In the US, it's pretty normal to have a buyer, a broker, and a sales agent. The difference and why Australia is better from that point of view is because our clients do pay us. In the US, the buyer's agent or broker gets a share of the selling agent's commission. How can you be transparent if I know that I'm being paid by the selling agent? I've got to work to get the deal done in their interest, not in my client's interests. And it's interesting that the US is now looking at the Australian model because it has worked so well.
Yeah, agree. What's a lesson that you might have learned through doing this? I'll ask you that individually. Have you learned anything, Lisa?
Oh, goodness.
Where do you want to start?
Travel your life story.
I think really the things, and we're both probably thinking of the same thing at the moment, is sometimes you actually have to tell a client to walk away.
Yeah.
And tell them not to buy. So, I mean, we've had experiences, and especially in apartments, it's more prominent,
Yes.
Where you've got this cladding issue and, the inflammable cladding and all this. People don't understand that. Yeah. They don't understand strata reports. They don't understand special levies. And it's not about walking away from an apartment because it's got a special levy. You need to understand what the risk involved is. How much of that risk are you prepared to take on, and use that as a negotiating tool? And sometimes if the risk is too high, to say, no, we'll move on.
Yeah, right.
And it's interesting because I went to an auction and we were waiting on something that I just couldn't get the information. I was standing at the auction. It was about to start. I called my client. They were interstate. And I said, I'm not happy that we have not got this response. And she turned around. She said to me, Munro, we're paying you. You make that decision whether we buy or we don't. If you feel you want to walk away, let's walk away. And that's a great thing, to have that level of trust. And, people trust you. They're putting a lot of money in your hands. And you want to be doing the right thing. And if that means walk away, well, so be it.
And it's very much a journey of discovery. I can talk from both the client side and from internally being now a buyer's agent. And what I loved about it was you come with your A list of wishes and you go, I want this, I want this, I want that. And you start off your search doing that, exactly that. However, the journey of discovery starts when you see that the budget is something that doesn't stretch, right? And you can't afford this property. And so the buyer's agent educates you. Some people like to use the word condition. I like to use the word educate, because that's what it's about. It's saying, okay, well, if the budget is the only thing that can't move, well, what can move is your location. Let's take you 1 or 2 suburbs out. Now, those may be suburbs that you've never considered before. So that was something that was really valuable to me, was when we decided that something was not, we wanted to go for it. And Munro didn't say no. It wasn't about putting a hard no. It was rather about opening us up and going, let's bring in a builder. Let's bring in an architect. Let's see what this is going to cost you. So he educated us as to what we would be undertaking, not just with the purchase of the property, but what it would involve in its entirety. And from that moment on, when we saw that we didn't have the budget to absolutely afford all of this, we had to move on. And that's when he took us to the next suburb and the next suburb. And that's when we eventually found our property.
And then you found a property that you could afford and that you could afford to make changes if those were required. That is just such good information for me to hear, in that just the honesty in relation to that, because, you know, you could just get a sale over the line, Munro, but your clients are more to you than that, in that, you know, there's that layer of protection you want to offer people as part of your service. It's really, really sensible.
I mean, we've got Google reviews that your clients can have a look at our Google reviews. You know, at the end of the day, my biggest lesson in life, and something I've learned, and I know it's one of your questions that you wanted to bring up as well, is if you do the right thing by somebody, you get paid. If you chase the dollar just to do transactional, it's a cold transaction, you're going to come unstuck. If you're in this for the long game and you're there for the long term, that's the way, you know, you've got to operate.
Yeah, I agree. I think transparency is everything.
And the only time that a buyer's agent's duty is actually to say no, and a hard no, is if it's going to be a bad investment decision, whether you're an investor or a homeowner or occupier. I fell in love with the property and Munro was like, absolutely not. You're not buying this property. It's going to be the most expensive property in the worst street. You're not doing it. And I still have that brochure in my car because it's aspirational in terms of the beauty of the product, but it was the wrong street. And he said no, and we had to move on. And I had to accept that.
Yeah. And then in years to come, you understand the reasoning behind that. You see it unfold. You see it unfold for the person who actually purchased that property. And people say there'll never be another property just like it, but there always is. There's always something better.
You've got a saying as well.
Whenever we've lost out on a property, Belinda, for a client, I have never in 20 odd years of doing this business found a worse property. We found something equal to and usually better than.
Yeah, I agree. In my own experience, that's been the same.
And you've been through that yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah, agree. As a buyer, you think, oh, that was the one. I really wanted that. And then you end up, well, in our case, in one of the cases, we bid at auction on a property. We missed out by 25,000. We bought the property next door. It was a far better property. And we got it for
sometimes you've got to put it out to the universe.
$30,000 cheaper.
Put it out to the universe. If it's meant to be, it happens.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Do you think that a good buyer's agent like you guys, do you think you have a certain personality trait that makes you good at your craft?
Well, I think talk about mispersonality here. I think it's, you know, the empathy, treating, you know, we're often saying like treat somebody the way you want to be treated, but that's not really correct. We believe in treating people the way they want to be treated. Our motto for our company is, you know, you want to be able to help your client. It's not how much you know, it's showing the care. You know, you want to show that you've got that high care factor. Everything else comes from there. Being authentic and transparent, you brought it up. Focusing on exceptional levels of service, care, consistency, collaborating, working of teams, respecting each other, aiming for a win-win in the industry. And I think one of the things with Lisa and I, it's really great because we've got a male-female team, and it just gives that bit of a balance as well, where you can appeal to, if you've got a couple or whatever it is. Sometimes Lisa may relate better to somebody, sometimes I may, but we come as a team. So we're giving that added value, which wouldn't you say that's a strong practice?
I love, and not only from that, we are able to offer a variety of different things. You know, I'm a mum, I've gone through schooling with my kids. I understand how the house internally needs to work in terms of space, leisure space for the kids, study space for the kids. I have an insight into that, and I'm able to advise and bring something different to the mix. Sure, I've got a bubbly personality, but you need to be relatable to people. And more importantly, not just relatable, you need to learn to listen.
Yeah.
And pick up the nuance of what people are not actually saying. And it's up to you to uncover and discover what they're not saying, so that it makes you so much more valuable to them because you're understanding them.
Yeah. Agree. Munro, your personality traits?
Look, I'm pretty easygoing, Belinda. I've done this for a long time. I try not get emotionally involved, but I do understand there are emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, bought a property in Paddington for a client last week, and one of my colleagues said to me, I cannot believe how calm, cool, and collected you were going through. I mean, I'm always calm, cool, and collected in my personal life, but in my work life, I understand, there are things you have to do and certain steps you have to take. Sometimes you have to stand back. Sometimes you've got to push. And, having honed in on that over all these years, I don't get emotional about it. I do what needs to be done and how it needs to be done and follow due process.
And it's the adaptability and flexibility of, how Munro was saying, when to push, when to hold back, when to actually shut up. And let your client make a decision. Yes, you're there to guide, but let them come to you like a good psychologist. Yeah. Let them talk, let them express themselves, and then provide the feedback.
And very underrated and underlying with all of this is just doing your best. Just absolutely doing, 100%, 10 out of 10 every time you deal with a client.
Totally.
What's a piece of advice if somebody was thinking about becoming a buyer's agent? What's a piece of advice for anybody thinking about the industry?
I think going into it for me, it's all about research.
Yeah.
So I would suggest if there's a pocket or an area, suburb that you like, I would suggest going to some auctions, going to inspections, getting to know some agents, building a rapport with them. Even if you're not an agent, and just say to them, I'm really interested in property. Good luck with your campaign. Build the relationship and then trawl the internet, trawl domain, trawl real estate, get familiar with prices, areas, etc., so that you've educated yourself to become valuable to whoever hires you.
Yeah. Belinda, one of our newest team members lives in the eastern suburbs, in the heart of probably the most expensive part of the eastern suburbs. She's passionate about property. She's bought and sold property. She couldn't get a job because she doesn't have experience, but we recognize the passion that this person has. She understands the market. She goes to auctions every week. She understands it. She came to us and we're prepared to give her a go. And she has a great personality. She's authentic. Her first month here, she already brought in a really nice client. Yes, she didn't have the expertise, but we work as a team. So we've got the experience. She brought the client in, and not only is she learning in the process, but she's also helping a client achieve their goal as well. So, just on top of what Lisa's saying, be authentic, hardworking, super committed. It is a 7-day-a-week job. It's not a part-time job. Build a personal brand. Your reputation is everything. Love what you do. It does show. When you're passionate about it, people read. Energy is infectious. Get yourself a mentor.
Great point.
And he's one of the best ones. And it didn't pay me to say that. But
get yourself a mentor. Get somebody you can bounce off. Somebody you can speak to openly, and don't look for quick wins.
Yeah.
Success takes time.
You're playing the long game.
You've got to play the long game.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, that's the answer.
And there are so many people right now pushing buyer's agents as a career as if it's just a way of getting quick commissions without any energy or effort. When you're in the trenches in real estate, you understand that a good buyer's agent spends a lot of time doing due diligence on behalf of their client.
Yeah, there's a lot of new buyers agents in the market, yes. The barriers to entry are pretty low, unfortunately. Yes, you do have to have a real estate license, and you have to have worked under a licensee for 1 year. But if you consider financial planners and people that deal with multi-million dollars like we do, their level of training and their level of expertise and their level of compliance is a lot higher than we are. And one of the things, why we are part of REBA, Real Estate Buyers Association of Australia, because those are the, work with a REBA agent, somebody that's gone through a high level of training, that has respect. Rich was one of the founding members, a principal on the REBA committee for many, many years. And because the government's not regulating our industry to the level where it should be, we need to be doing this internally. And if we don't, eventually the government will do it. So we need to start setting those standards, to being authentic and being the best we can be within our industry.
It's a question that a potential client should ask. What sort of due diligence do you do?
Yeah, I agree. I just, I was going to ask of you, how do people work out who's a good buyer's agent and who's not a good buyer's agent? But I think you just covered it really well then, that they have to be industry qualified, they have to have experience, and then ask them lots and lots of questions about what type of work they do in the background to find property on your behalf.
Belinda, a couple of extra points as well is
Yeah.
work with somebody that has bought and sold property themselves so they understand the process.
Yes.
Somebody that's a strong negotiator and problem solver. Obviously, authentics and ethics. We've spoken about experience, patience, empathy, attention to detail, which is the research. Somebody who's got a strong network of relationships with agents in their area is going to get you the best results. Somebody who's prompt and quick to respond. And my favorite saying is confidence, not cockiness.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's true. Quiet confidence will get you a long way.
Correct.
So is there a particular case study that you could share where you've really helped a developer or a renovator find a really good property?
Well, interestingly, just recently, we bought a property for a client in Surrey Hills, a lovely terrace, who was actually a builder. He had approached us. He'd been referred to us. He had approached us. He said, look, I'm a builder. This is my job every day to do building. I don't know how to find properties. I haven't got the time. Can I introduce you to my client? Can you try and help my client? By us being able to find a property for his client, he's securing a job as well.
That's fantastic.
So there's a perfect example for your clientele, your client base. That's exactly what we did for the exact same profile client. We found them a great opportunity. They had architects in there. The builder came in, they did their numbers, they did their cash flow. And when we were ready to offer, we were able to make our offer informed, and we understood. Obviously, when your clients are buying, they're going to be investing a lot of money. I always say, if you're going to invest $1, make sure we can make $2 when we sell it. Because the buying process is more importantly, it's not when you're trying to get out of it, it's when you're getting into it. You've got to buy correctly in the beginning. You can't fix that later.
Oh, so true. So true. And that's a win-win situation for everybody involved.
Yep.
Do you have a particular mentor, or has there been anyone who's been a big influence in your life? Lisa, I'll go first. I know who you might say. He's sitting right beside you, which is really funny.
It can't be me.
He's sitting right next to me. Okay. Because at the end of the day, he gave me a chance.
Yes.
And he is that kind of person. He is such a loyal, giving, he invests in you, right? And yes, I've invested in this business like it is my own, because I want to give back as much as he's invested in me. But he's always available. We phone each other 24/7. He's at the end of the phone for me. And there's never a question that I feel I can't ask. There's never something that I feel, how am I going to do this? I know he's got my back. And it's such a warm environment. He's actually tapping me on my leg to tell me to shut up. OTT. But anyway, he's beautiful. That's all I can say. And he gave me a chance.
And Munro, what about you?
I'm not going to say Lisa.
Thanks, Mun.
But I would say my mother was a property investor and an antique collector. She never had a formal education, but she had street smarts, and she had a good eye for an opportunity. And that's what I learned from her.
Yeah, how wonderful. My dad was a big influence in my life too. It's really nice when you've got that kind of family support and somebody leading the way.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, so any little known secrets that are indispensable inside your field of expertise?
But we do want to give your clients a little bit of information, because a buyer's agent may not be for everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's see if we can help them. It's best to keep your cards close to your chest. If an agent asks you what your budget is, now I hope there's no real estate agents listening here, because they're going to hate me.
No, none at all.
Okay, excellent. Best rather to say, what are you guiding on the property?
Yeah.
Rather don't discuss your budget.
I agree.
The other thing is, keep your emotions in line. Real estate agents are psychologists on speed. They understand everything. If they see your reactions, the way you react in a property, your body language gives it all away. Sure, you want to jump up and down and shout and scream and whatever, do it round the corner,
Or in
not
the
in the
car.
property or in the car.
In the car.
Don't
Take
do
it to
it
the
in the
car, we
property.
always say. Take it to the car.
Absolutely. So
Yeah,
do that as
fantastic.
well. You know, that's important. There are ways of showing interest without getting excited.
Yeah,
And, you know,
agree.
that's where a buyer's agent knows what to do, when to do, and how to do it. There's a process that needs to be followed. Keep in mind, I know people don't like real estate agents, but at the end of the day, their job is to work for their vendor. Their job is to create as much competition as possible. And if you're selling, sure, you want them on your side. If you're buying, you want a buyer's agents on your side because we're here to support and help you. I would also say, look, most people can spend 12, 24 months looking for a property. A good buyer's agent should be able to turn a brief around in 1 to 3 months. And if you consider a market like the Sydney, like the eastern suburbs, that's constantly rising in price, even though we've had 12, 14 interest rate increases, the market is still strong. There's low supply and high demand. That if you can just save yourself 3 months, you've already paid our fees, more than double you've saved yourself.
I'm with you all the way on that. It's fascinating watching what's going on in Sydney at the moment. And you would love to be standing beside my son right now, who's bidding on properties in the Erskineville area. He's just one of those youngsters who keeps really quiet, keeps his cards close to it. It's like he's playing a game of poker. And I know he's got a particular real estate agent completely in a fluster right now because he just can't read him. And that's just his nature. But I just said to him the other day, this is really, really working in your favor while you're negotiating on this property because the real estate agent just can't work him out.
Well, but if he gets it right,
yes,
there's a job here for him.
No, he's really quite clever at it. And he's got us in the background. Mom, what do I say now? Mom, what do I do now?
You know what to do. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Absolutely. It's actually a lot of fun. But, you know, the truth is real estate agents are a part of your industry. They're a part of mine. As my group of renovators, we want good relationships with our real estate agents. We need to get those properties. But yeah, buying smart, I think, is just absolutely everything.
Correct.
So whether you do that on your own or you take on the services of a buyer's agent, which I thoroughly recommend, particularly if you're in an area that you don't know or understand and a buyer's agent's in that area and they know the area very, very well, I see the advantage all day long. I think some people get too hung up on how much it's going to cost. And I actually think that it can cost a person a lot more if they buy the wrong property or they buy in the wrong location. They just don't have that boots on the ground knowledge.
It's an investment in the future, not a cost.
And also for interstate buyers or expats as well, as you say, we're the foot soldiers on the ground, and the laws for transactions and purchases and exchange is so different. You know, we're dealing with an interstate buyer at the moment and they couldn't believe the difference in the terms and conditions of exchange, and the due diligence takes place after, not before exchange. So it's just interesting that had they not chatted to us, they wouldn't have known, and they would have been totally confused by the guides. They were shocked that the guides were so much more here than it is there.
Agree. What are your plans, or what is the business plans of Property Buyer into the future?
Belinda, we want to always strive to do better for our clients, whatever we can do. I think one of the biggest things in our industry is AI. I think in everybody's industry.
Yes, agree.
And we're seriously looking at AI for better experiences for our clients, technology to provide a better enhanced experience for our clients. And actually at 4 o'clock today, I've got a meeting, a Zoom meeting with the specialists in property AI that we're talking to create better reports and better reporting to help us work quicker, smarter, and get a better result for our clients.
Fantastic. Lisa? Just ditto? You're allowed to say ditto.
Well, you know what? I'm a tech freak.
Yeah.
And I'm a processes and procedural gal. And I always come into a job and I look at ways on how to do things smarter to work those processes smarter so that I make the lives of buyer's agents easier so that they're spending time with the client, not bogged down with admin. And so what I've invested and what I've changed internally in terms of our processes is huge. And I just love tech. And so going the AI route and what we're going to be able to achieve one day is phenomenal. It's exciting.
Yeah. Belinda, just quickly on the back of that. So Lisa set up some fantastic systems through our CRM that literally we've got a client with a brief, we're ready to go. Within 10 seconds, we can approach every agent in that suburb via email, SMS, social media, every way. Within 10 seconds, everybody's got their brief. When a client's looking to buy, they're phoning every agent, talking to them, and they know that we are regular buyers, so they will call us back straight away.
Yes.
Real estate agents love buyers agents because we do a lot of the work for them, and they know our clients are qualified and we're not going to waste their time.
Correct. Yeah. It's fantastic. AI is changing everything at the moment, my business included.
Yep.
Yeah. It's remarkable. Thank you so much. That's Lisa Schapiro and Munro Donen from propertybuyer.com.au. They can be contacted at info@propertybuyer.com.au. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. And I'm really thankful that you lifted the hood on what it's like to be a buyer's agent and in a successful buyer's agent company in Sydney. And you're right, the eastern suburbs of Sydney, the market moves fast. And so you guys are right on the ball.
Thanks, Belinda.
Thank you for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure.